Hello, fellow Ravenites. This is Nitro coming to you once again with another episode of The Wunderkind Show. And hear me now. We are on a bye week. And I can only think of one thing to speak of right now. The North. Or some shall call it the AFC North. Yo! But look, check this out. We're going to do a quick rundown because we are on a bye week. We handle business over there in the Saints. And this week, this Sunday, we're going to sit back, relax, heal up. That's what they need. Get some needed extra family time and rejuvenate themselves. But we're not out of the woodwork at all. We are not. And like I always tell people, it's a 17-game season for a reason. And when you have seasons like this, anything can happen. Anything will happen. So with that being said, we're going to go into the AFC North, and we're going to break down just what we need to do to finish strong. So right now, the Ravens are sitting at 6 wins, 3 losses to lead the AFC North, with the Bengals coming in a close second, 5 wins to 4 losses. Mind you, they've lost 2 divisional games, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe 3. Did they lose to the Steelers? So, yeah, they're not. Listen, they have to outright win this. We got the tiebreaker. Hey! But the Browns are 3-5 with the returning Deshaun Watson. The Steelers are 2-6. Their QB. Listen, the Steelers are literally why I tell people I fear losing Lamar Jackson. That team's quarterback play has been less than abysmal. It's been putrid. It's been literally bottom of the barrel. It's been so minute and minuscule to be within itself. Ants would look over its head and say, "Hello, my small friend." That's how bad and small QB play's been for the Steelers. And I could never, Jesus gosh, yo. And the Steelers are known for defense. But when you got a QB that keeps putting your defense out there, the defense gets tired, and eventually that defense will break. But that's neither here nor there. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to break down everything. We're going to get to see what the remaining scheduled games are, right? And then we're going to break down to see what they might finish the season as. Because I'm not going to lie to you. Boy, listen, I'm not so much worried about making the playoffs. What I'm worried about is going into the playoffs healthy. We're getting back at the Jabo. We're getting back. We already got back Bowser, right? This is the home stretch now. But even though we're going into the home stretch, the second half of the season, right? Because you know the football season ramps up once November hits. Once November hits, that's when there's no more games. This is war. You feel me? So check this out. So let's break it down to see who we got left. And we're going to go. So right now, the Ravens beat the Saints, of course, 27-13. And they got left, or the Panthers versus the Ravens. Jesus, bro. That should be a blowout. That should be a blowout. I do not want to hear that. That should be a blowout. Then we got the Ravens versus the Jaguars. Look, the Jaguars, people might be like, that's a win. They're not cakewalk. They're not a cakewalk. They could get hot, and they've gotten hot on multiple teams. We cannot sleep on them. The Denver Broncos versus the Ravens. Look, we don't want a get-right Russell Wilson game on the Ravens. Hey. Oh, he's been playing so bad, but somehow he's gotten right against the Ravens and went on a run. Yet I don't want to hear that narrative. So that's not an easy game. Once again, any given Sunday, that team has weapons. It has talent. What their problem is they're just not playing like a cohesive unit. That's their problem. If they can get it handled, then anything can happen. Ravens versus Steelers. Hey, look. This should be a blowout. I know, we play them close all the time. The Ravens should not play down to the Steelers' level in this game. We need to blow them out so that Lamar and them can sit out the entire fourth quarter. Because their quarterbacks are not winning them this game. And their running backs have been not great either. Najee Harris has not been great. So this should be a blowout. I don't see why it couldn't be a blowout. With the defense that we now have, it should be a blowout. Ravens versus Browns, that game is going to be difficult. Deshaun Watson is going to be back. And I feel like he's going to return with a vengeance. I think that he wants to prove a lot of naysayers wrong. And he wants to make up for a lot of lost time. And I think he's going to hit the ground running. Figuratively and literally. So when I look at that game, circle that game, my fellow Ravenites. That will not be an easy game. That's going to be a tough game. That's going to be a game that we have to be ready for, focused on, you know what I'm saying? And ready to go. Because if not, it could be problematic. Ravens for the Falcons, that should be another blowout. The Falcons' wings have been clipped, and they have not been flying high. Marcus Mariota has been horrible. And look, I was happy that he got another chance to be a starting QB. They gave him weapons. He has a good tight end. He has a good wide receiver. He has Cordell Patterson, if I'm not mistaken, and that team still stinks. It's crazy, man. I'm telling you, this is a quarterback-driven league. If your quarterback is not good or cannot play well, your team is not winning. The only exception that we've seen thus so far is Derrick Henry, and we do not have him. Okay, now that y'all know that. Next game, Steelers versus Ravens. Look, we always usually split with the Steelers, or they've swept us the last 2 or 3 years. Once again, this should be a blowout. Listen, if we finish this, if we finish up to that point, we should be 12-2 or 12-3, right? Up to that point, if we win all the games, we should be 12-3. That means we would be 13-3 if we win it and 14-3 if we beat the Bengals. I need this to be a blowout. The reason why is because the Ravens versus the Bengals, the last game, I don't want it to be a serious game. If they tie with us, right? Let's say they tie with us, right? Because let's say they win all the rest of their games and they beat us the last game. That means we would be tied in the division, right? But we hold the tiebreaker. I don't need us losing any unnecessary games to give them a leg up. Because let me let you understand this right now. The AFC is going to come down to the wire. Baltimore, Bills, and Kansas City, those are the front runners. They're running for glory right now. We know who the best teams are, right? And then, of course, you have some upstarts like the Jets. You got some upstarts like Miami that can come in and ruin somebody's postseason. So that's what I'm looking at. That last game is the Bengals. I don't want that game to be a serious game. We already beat them. We know we could beat them and stuff like that. The problem is that if our starters have to be into the game, that means we made slip-ups during this run. That's what that would be. Hopefully they do. Hopefully the Bengals make a lot of slip-ups. Because at the end of the day, we're worried about winning the division. That is all. That is it. That's first and foremost. That's what we're worried about. You understand where I'm coming from? Yeah, I mean, I don't listen. I already said I don't have the Bengals making the playoffs. And I think I'm going to break down why, right? So their best receivers, now we're going to the Bengals' rest of their schedule real quick, and we're going to break everything down and see where they're coming from, right? So like I said before, any team could get hot at the right time, but I don't expect this team to make the playoffs. I really don't. I really don't. Okay, so check this out. They got the Bengals versus the Steelers, right? The Bengals should win that game. Bengals versus Titans, right? The Bengals should win that game. This is where it gets tricky. Chiefs versus Bengals. I think Patrick Mahomes wants some revenge, and I think he's going to go off on the Bengals. So I got them losing. So think about this. So the first two games from our bye week for the Bengals, They play the Steelers. I expect that to be a win. The Titans, it could be close because, listen, they play defense over there. But Derrick Henry can only do so much. And they're not even using him like they're supposed to. He gets off the field like, this is crazy. Like, they don't even throw screens to him. Nothing. No creativity when using Derrick Henry. It's ridiculous. They're just using like a battering ram and put him back on the bench. But Chiefs versus Bengals, I got the Chiefs beating them that game. Browns versus Bengals, I got the Browns beating them. Bengals versus Buccaneers, look. I think Tom Brady can get this. I think that team finds its mojo sometime in the next week or two and starts rattling off wins, and I think this is going to be their win. That would put them on a 3-game losing streak. And this is the breaker, right? This is the backbreaker. Because right after that, they got the Patriots. We all know Bill Belichick and the young QBs, right? I don't think Joe Burrow's played him yet. And we know how good he is against a quarterbacks that can't move and don't run like that, right? We know how good he goes against that. And Matt Judon's playing out of his mind. Bills versus Bengals. If Josh Allen's healthy, this should be Bills. And Ravens versus Bengals. Listen, I could see them. How many games is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8 games. They could literally go 2-6 in those games. Literally. Or even, 3-5. Let's say they're 3-5 in those games, right? That would put them at 8 and 9. So, like I said before, I don't have them making the playoffs. But anything can happen. Anything has happened, and anything, could or would happen. So, I'm not completely like, oh my God, they're done. But, bruh, that's not an easy schedule to finish up the year. And I think a lot of teams want to get their hit backs against them, especially with the media bigging them up the way that they did. A lot of teams are coming in trying to put their best game on them. That's the difference. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. You get where I'm coming from? They had an amazing run at the Super Bowl last year and fell short. But now there's no surprising anybody. Now people see you that, there's no surprise, we never seen this before. Oh, we didn't know Jamar Chase could do this, or maybe he was just hot. None of that. They're expecting certain things, and they've watched tape. So, yeah. Now, the Browns are very interesting to me. And the reason why the Browns are interesting to me is because I think that they missed the playoffs too, but I think they ruin a lot of people's chances at the playoffs. I truly do. Look, with Deshaun Watson back, they're going to ruin a lot of people. Check this out. So right after that, the Browns got the Dolphins, right? Listen, Tyreek Hill's a monster. Jesus God. Bro, that man, bruh. Now y'all wonder why I wanted Tyreek Hill so bad, bruh. You got to watch tape. He's unstoppable. He's just, bruh, he's like Sonic the Hedgehog playing football. It's unfair. But whatever, Browns versus Dolphins. Let's say the Dolphins get that, right? Browns versus Bills. I got the Browns beating the Bills, especially if Josh Allen's not playing. Browns versus Buccaneers. I got the Browns beating them, right? Browns versus Texans. I got the Browns crushing them, especially with them coming back. That's a crush, right? Browns versus Bengals. Listen, like I said, I got the Browns beating them. Ravens versus Browns, I got us beating them. Of course, I got the Ravens beating the Browns. Saints versus Browns, Browns can beat them. Browns versus Commanders, Browns can beat them. Browns versus Steelers, Browns can beat them. The Browns can make a run at the playoffs. They need 7 games to be, 10-7? Let's see what they got. How many games is that? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 games, right? That means they would have to go 7-2 to be 10-7. You saw the schedule. It's possible. It's possible. It can happen. Oh, you remember, y'all, listen, I'm old, bro. You remember McDonald's commercials? They'd be like, it can happen. Literally, it can happen. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Listen, nobody wants to face a healthy Browns team. That team is talented, bruh. Do not sleep on it. I know it comes with a lot of baggage because of the Deshaun Watson cases, everything else. People have a bad taste in their mouth when it comes to him. That team is talented. Jeez. I'll be real with you. I'm not even going to go over the Steelers' schedule because they've been horrid. Look, I picked the Steelers to be third in the division. People gonna laugh. I picked the Bengals to be last. Man, I picked them to be last. I thought the Steelers, under Tomlin, was gonna at least make it to break even or 9-8. You know, it does not look like that. He's getting his losing season this year. They would have to go pretty much undefeated for the rest of the way. They can only lose one other game. 2. So they would have to go, you know what I'm saying, 7-2 or 6-2 or something like that. You got coming from? It's just not feasible to me. So I don't got them making the playoffs at all. And I don't got the Bengals making the playoffs, but the Browns can make this interesting. Because look, this is AFC North football. We know what it is. Hard hitting. It gets cold. They start running the ball. Do you know what the Cleveland Browns can do? Run the ball. They just don't got Nick Chubb. They got another guy called Kareem over there who can run too. They got the best backfield in the NFL. Not the best running back, but definitely the best backfield. Because think about it. The best 3 running backs, Nick Chubb is in the top 3. And then Kareem Hunt is right behind him, and he's a top 10 back. So it's like, yo, you know what I'm saying? And so even if they had an injury to one of them, they still have a bell cow. So, listen, this is going to be crazy, man. This is going to be so crazy. But this is what we watch it for. This is why they play for. It's going to be, listen, are you ready for some football? I am, because this is going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. Look, this is what it's about. And like I said, Ravens and Browns, they can make the playoffs. I do not have the Bengals making the playoffs. And I promise y'all this. Listen, for any Cincinnati Bengal fans watching this, for any which one of you that think for 1 second that, I'm dancing at your expense, to the victor goes the spoils. And you guys' mouth was beyond toxic this offseason. And I don't want to hear, oh, you weren't thinking that at the beginning. No, go check my tweets. I don't erase tweets. I literally said this during the offseason. I have the Bengals missing the playoffs this year. And I'm going to stand on that. I will stand on it. Yerp. So look, that's another episode of the Wunderkind Show. You could be anywhere else in the world, but you're here with me, and you know I appreciate that. Please remember, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and have a great day. Yo, this is your boy Nitro with another episode, and I am out of here. All right, y'all have a great day, and y'all knows my slogan. Peace. And I'm out. Go Ravens. Yerp!